Yes, guys, welcome back to the Golf Chat Show live. As you can see, today I'm on my own. No one with me, just me, my golf clubs for 2020 that hopefully will get a little bit of use, and obviously you guys as well. So in today's show, you guys ask me questions about my clubs, about my coaching, what content you want to see, any questions about your game and the current situation, fire them at me and I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I can. Now, obviously, the main aim of today's show is to look at my golf clubs for 2020. Now, admittedly, actually, we'll save that for the show. So, guys, if you are brand new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button as well as hitting that thumbs up button if you do enjoy this content. But I want to start with basically just looking at the whole situation in terms of where do we think golf is going to go in the next kind of 2-3 weeks. I really think in the next 2-3 weeks, we could be back out on the golf course. On the golf course in some capacity. So what I mean by that is I think we will be out with restrictions. Ball washers taken off the golf course, no benches, no clubhouses, potentially no pro shops. And I also think maximum of 2 people with like maybe 10, 15 minutes in between each tee times. But I did see a fantastic thing today. So I was scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Twitter, as we're all doing at the minute, and we're doing that quite a lot, and came across this thing where you put it in the hole, you puck it and move it up with your golf club. Fantastic. It means the ball can actually go to the bottom of the hole, because I was looking at those other holes where you turn it upside down. It just looks like you could lip it out. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you have, just smash those comments down below, because I would look at that and think that's going to be so hard to actually hole some putts and actually get the ball in the hole. Okay, without further ado, we're going to start today off with my putter. So we're going to be looking at the putter to begin with. It's not a stroke lab, guys. That's not the smoothest entrance, is it? We are starting with my putter, and then we will go through wedges, through the irons, because I know there's a lot of questions about what I'm using my irons, and if you big watch the channel, you'll know exactly why there is some big questions about my irons. Big stories there. Then into what I do in terms of combo in the higher things, in between rescue, driving irons, 3-wood flash forward, and then obviously the big dog. What am I gaming? What have I got to set up on? I have been playing around with that, and I haven't actually had as much chance as I would like to in terms of looking at the big dog because of lockdown, really. And I don't, not when I look outside the garden, I don't really trust the net. And if you've seen the net, it's had a bit of a pounding in all the YouTube videos that I've been creating for you boys. So here we go. Putter, let's start off. So it's admittedly, it's not a stroke lab. We are gaming a 2-ball. Now, cool story about the 2-ball. I had the original 2-ball, well, original for my age, I guess. I remember going to Florida when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old, and went to the big superstore and found a 2-ball. And it was like, I'm going to say, 40, 50 pounds cheaper in America than it was over here in the UK at the time. And I had the original 2-ball, but it got bent on the way back, not on that trip, on a trip later down the line. And it's a putter that I really, really love. So really simple, black grip, Toulon design grip, black shaft, stealth. And then this, absolute beauty. Line on top for alignment, 2 golf balls, and a little bit of a harder insert. I absolutely love this putter. Simple thing, and the reasons why I do love this putter. 1, obviously, because of how it looks. 2, I guess, the forgiveness. But I'm one of those putters that likes to sort of visualize that ball going into the hole. So I don't really like to get too technical with lines and all that kind of thing when I'm hitting putts on the golf course, because I just feel like then the golf ball is going down a tightrope. So if you imagine looking for a golf ball here, I've got a driver head next to me, and I'll do a good comparison on that. I feel that using these 2 balls on the face, that line up, and then with my golf ball, I don't put a line down. I can imagine that golf ball traveling into the hole, and that's exactly the way I like to putt. Very old school is what some people might call it, but it's really one of my favorite things to do. That's the reason why I love this 2-ball putter so much. And if you do get a putter, you know, you boys and guys and girls have been out there. You'll have tried different putters. You will have tried different things, but you always go back to something like this. Now, I would love to be able to putt with a blade. Can't do it for toffee. Absolutely can't do it. I feel like I'm dealing with a feather, and it just feels like it's totally out of control. So if you have at any point got any questions about my clubs, about my game, just fire them down below. We'll answer as many questions as you can. We start off the show by talking about, I actually think golf will be out and we will be allowed to play golf in the next few weeks. So that is a fantastic thing. And obviously there's bigger situations than that, but we're talking in terms of golfers. Okay, on to the wedges. Again, there's going to be a theme with all this, fully blacked out throughout. Okay, so the wedges that I carry a 50, a 54 and a 58 in what I kind of class as traditional wedges, like wedge design clubs. And then I do have a pitching wedge, which is part of my set. So wedges that I carry are the King Cobra, and I've got 8 degrees of bounce on my 50. And as you can see, it's taken a bit of a hammering. I've been doing a bit of practice in there recently, and probably the most practice that I've done in a super long time, because I've actually had a chance to do a little bit of work on my game in the garden, and it's short game is the easiest thing that you can actually work on. So I've got Cobra Connect, and I do use this when I get out on the golf course. It is super cool, super valuable information, because it actually tells you what club you should hit, and it really helps you formulate a plan for a golf course. How many times, especially, you know, I think when we go to a new golf course and you guys will be like, oh, yeah, go out there and actually a new golf course, don't know where the trouble is, I play all right. But for me, it's not the fact that you don't know where the trouble is. It's the fact that you're planning your round a little bit more. So using this Cobra Connect and actually using that with a phone out on the golf course, it actually helps me plan my round, plan things and get things in order. Right, okay, what we're going to do off the tee? Where's the trouble? What we're going to do? It makes you think a little bit more about your round, and that's super important. Okay, shafts that I'm gaming, AMT X100s. A lot of you will think, well, they're quite stiff and quite heavy in wedges. Well, they are, to be honest. They're not a wedge flex as such, because well, I did used to use wedge flex, but to be honest, the reason why I went away from them was simply because when I was caddying for Tom Murray, a lot of you will know about this story in the Caddy Diaries. I was using some of his clubs when we had time off, with a bit of practice, and I just got used to using a heavier wedge. They're the shafts that he used in his wedges, and again went back to my wedges, and I was like, well, these are seriously heavy. Like, I felt like they were not uncontrollable, but just not, they didn't feel as comfortable to what I was used to using. So for me, that is the reason why I've gone AMT X100s. But guys, what wedges do you carry? What have you got currently gaming? Like I said before, I've got 50, 54 and 58. My most used wedge is probably my 58. I don't really like chipping with anything else. I like something with a lot of loft that I can get it up into the air a little bit easier. That's the best kind of thing for me. But what are you gaming on the wedges? Feel free to comment them down below. What are you gaming on the wedges, and what brand are you using? Let's see which is becoming the most popular brand out there, because there's so many good wedge brands out there. And they're all much of a muchness, if I'm honest. But I love the Stealth. Okay, on to the irons. We're going to grab my 6-iron here. No, we're not going to grab a 6-iron. That's very dirty. We're going to go 8-iron. So, not your traditional 8-iron. I am gaming the 1-length Cobras and the Forge Tech 1-length. So I have these in 3-iron all the way through to pitching wedge. And someone said to me, I'm going to tell you the whole story around this. So when I first started working with guys at Cobra and Puma, they were like, oh, you've got to try the 1-length irons. And we went to Spain for the Europro finals. And I was like, nah, not for me then. That is literally not my bag at all. They will never be in my golf bag. Like, no, I'll just try them. So anyway, I hit a few then. I was like, start me thinking this. So got back, and this was probably the January after we went there in the October. And started trying them on my custom fitting for all my Cobra clubs. And I was like, these are good. These are seriously good. Like, I didn't lose any distance, but I gained in dispersion. And that was through the bag. Because the weird thing I say to most people, it's not the fact that you've got a short 4-iron. That feels a little bit easier. And with the technology, it helps get it in the air, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's when you've got your pitching wedge and 9-iron and 8-iron, it feels very strange having a longer setup. But it's only because we're not used to it. Now, before lockdown, I didn't play a lot of golf, and I don't really play that much golf and as much as I'd like to play. So having something that's the same length, the same use, ball position in the same pace, that's what you're meant to do. I don't. But these really help me formulate better golf shots and play better golf out on the golf course. So Forge Tech 1 length, and I've got them from 3-iron all the way through to pitching wedge and then into my wedges as you've seen. Again, common theme, AMT X100s lying in there, black all the way through. I'll put that right around for you guys. Absolute beauties. Lamkin grips with Cobra Connect. So I think it's a funny story. I think it's, in terms of grips, I think it's kind of a massively overlooked thing with a lot of golfers. If you think about the grips that you choose in your golf club, a lot of us probably go for Golf Pride or whatever the brand is on there. And the brands are much of a muchness. I'm a big Lamkin fan, but it's so important to get the right grip thickness. So simple test. If you've got your top hand on the golf club, your middle finger or your longest finger, it should be your middle finger. I'm not going to do that nearly. That's you guys. Should just be shush short of the pad. It shouldn't be pressing in, and it shouldn't be too far away, because that will really limit or increase your ability to release the golf club. So if your grips were too small, so you had, say, undersized grips on there, this would really increase your ability to feel the golf club move and move the head and release the golf club. If you had something that was really thick on the grip, so jumbo, this would limit your ability to release the golf club. So you see Bryson, good friend Simon Dyson, he uses those thick jumbo grips purely for that reason, to take his wrists out the golf swing, and that's a massive thing for him. So it's getting the setup in terms of the grips for you, because a lot of us just talk about irons, shafts, and don't get me wrong, super important. But it's also important to get the right grips on there. So for me, I like the Lamkins. I like the feel of a bit of cord in there as well. Great in the rain. And if you keep them clean, I feel like they last a little bit longer. So save you a few pennies as well. Because how annoying is it getting club street grips? It's one of my absolute pet hates, because £12 a grip in it. No good. Northerner. Right. Okay. Going to the top end of the bag. So this is something that I will change in and out depending on where I'm playing. So we'll start off with the utility iron that I carry. Again, this is 1 length, and this is a serious weapon. This is the King Utility 1 length. Honestly, this thing, I'm going to say it's, don't forget it's so dirty. Apologies. This thing is lethal. I promise you, it is like cheating, I'm going to say. You can loft this up, loft it down. I've got it set on 19.5 degrees. Again, AMT X100s, Cobra Connect in the end. If I'm going to a golf course, this is kind of how I would formulate, should I take the 3-iron or should I take the 1 length hybrid? One, if it's windy, if it's a windy / links course, this will be in the bag all day. Also, if it's a golf course that I played before and I know it's narrow, and even if it's not windy and there's a lot of opportunities to hit irons or something that runs off the tee, this will be coming in the bag. Because I find that this club, if I'm not feeling too good out on the golf course and I want to get the ball in play and still a relatively good distance down there, I feel it's a really good way to do that. Because I could stand on the tee with that 3-iron and hit a low raking draw, and I can seriously get it hooking, guys. I promise you, this thing can hook and run. I will stand on a tee and I will use this club a lot. I remember playing at an assistance event last year, and I felt terrible off the tee. I think I hit like 3 or 4 drives that were okay during the day, but it's quite a long golf course that I was playing, and I finally got into a rhythm where I was using this off the tee. Yes, I was sacrificing some yards, but it was quite firm, quite bouncy. So actually getting this running down there, I felt super confident because I was feeling like I was hooking the golf ball all day. So I stood on the tee and went, well, if I'm hooking the golf ball, I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to play that. And I'm going to play that with a club that I can hit and feel confident with. So that is the kind of way I'd go about it. How am I feeling on the day? Is the golf course tight? Is a lot of opportunities off the tee to hit irons? This baby will come into play. Okay, so let's have a look at the one length hybrid that I game, because now the shafts start to change. So you've seen, guys, so far I am gaming the AMT X100s. I absolutely love them. I've had them in kind of like my last 3 sets of irons. And to be honest, unless something comes along that's like remarkably different, I will not change. If it's marginal, no, because you just get used to using something, where the club is, get a feeling of where the shaft is. And I like the feeling of something heavy because it gives me a point at which where something is. It's quite strange. I know, golf talk, guys and girls. So if you are enjoying the content, guys, don't forget, smash that like button. And if you are brand new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Okay, we're now on the top end of the bag. So I was just discussing when I would change from my driving iron to this. So it sounds like there's a lot of times where this wouldn't actually come in. So the reason and where this would come into play is if I was playing a golf course that was parkland, potentially with thicker rough, this would come into play. And especially a golf course that doesn't have a lot of irons off the tee. This is my personal preference, and this is probably just psychological. Well, it's 100% psychological. It has nothing else to do apart from being psychological. I will 100% use this off the tee. Apologies, not use the tee. I would not use this off the tee. I don't like the feeling of it off the tee. I like it out the rough, out the fairway, and I feel it's a real good weapon if the greens are elevated and being a little bit firmer. It's so easy to get in the air. It's so easy to be forgiving. So let's have a little bit of a close look at this. So you can see blue for the one length, speed rails on the bottom to help stability and ground interaction. Really like the matte finish on the top, and I love the little subtle Cobra logo. Joe, and obviously you guys are going to say like, oh my God, Alex, you're biased. I am biased. I'm not going to hold my hands up and say I'm not biased, but they are really good clubs. And I've probably last year played the best golf I have in a long time without doing a lot of practice. Probably got a lot to do with being comfortable in my game and being comfortable in what I'm doing in my golf swing, but you've got to have the clubs to match. So the shafts that I've got in here are the Fujikura 7X Atmos. I've never used this shaft before until this bad boy. Again, it's stiff, extra stiff. Lamkin grips, Cobra connects in the end. And it's a real weapon at 19 degrees for me when I've got raised greens, the greens are a little bit firmer, I've got thicker rough, because with it being shorter, again, it's a cheating stick, don't tell anybody. It really helps me get the golf ball in the air and have great control around the greens in terms of being able to land it soft. And having that playability when you're playing on firmer greens is really good. So I would always recommend, obviously, if you can, guys, it's expensive to have a little bit of variation at the top end of the bag. Of course it is. But if you can, I would always have an option where you can chop and change between the same loft or roughly around the same loft in a driving iron for those lengthy, windier days and the days where you might have some more irons off the tee, you don't feel as comfortable, and then your hybrid. Because like we know, we see the guys on tour do it, and obviously those guys get any equipment they want each week, and that's the level they're at. But if you can have the options where you swap and change things in and out, it's a great thing to feel more comfortable. Anytime you feel more comfortable, you have some more confidence, and that's going to lead to better golf swings and potentially better scores. Okay, on to the next club. We're on to the King F9. Now I have got the SC coming, but currently, obviously, there's more important things than me getting my golf club, so that doesn't matter right now. But this is currently what I'm gaining. So I have the Hazardous Smoke, 6.5, 70 grams shaft in it. And I've had this set at plus 1.5. So it's currently 14.5 degrees, plus a degree, 15.5. So it's at 16 degrees of loft. Quite lofted. We're kind of getting towards kind of like 4-wood, 5-wood sort of loft. I tell you, the reason why I got this at 4-wood/5-wood sort of loft is because I've always struggled with a 3-wood, getting it to spin enough. And honestly, it comes out like a wounded pigeon sometimes. And before I lofted this up, I really struggled getting the ball in the air with a 3-wood. Nose diving left, nose diving right. But this works really well. Lofted up, again, speed rails on the bottom, ground interaction, weight lower back. Really, really good for me. And milled face. It's a really good option for me, and I really like this. I use this off the tee sometimes, but on par fives, this becomes a real weapon on ones that I can't reach into. I feel I can hit this full out and be under total control, and that's super important. But again, I would highly recommend, honestly, if you've got a 3-wood in your bag and it's an adjustable one, go and loft it up, because a lot of you will think, oh no, you're going to lose yards. But honestly, I've gained yards doing that. Being able to get the ball in the air easier. And I promise you, I've done this with a few of my lessons, or a lot of my lessons that are a mid to high handicap, or even lower handicaps, because it just gives you that a little bit more confidence when you're looking down, because you can see more loft on the face. And that higher launch will get the ball peaking and actually get the ball in the air for a little bit longer. So I can highly recommend lofting your 3-wood up a little bit, or even going for a 4/5 wood is a great option. I super promise you that. Okay, Dennis Lacey, thanks for the comment. He put, I love my hybrid off the T2. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at picking up a 2 hybrid to go along with my 3 hybrid. It's a great choice. Like, honestly, I think there's not enough scope looking at options off the tee. A lot of us just go for the big dog, and this has arrived, the brand new one. And we just go, oh no, we've got to use driver, and we just pull out driver every single hole. We've got to have a little bit of strategy. As going back to Cobra Connect before, having that in there allows you to build that bit of strategy. If you can do that yourself, then fantastic. Build that strategy into your game. But it's honestly a great thing to do. Build up some clubs that you're comfortable off the tee when that bad boy ain't working. Nicholas Campbell put, I really like the black headed irons, but I'm afraid of the face and head wearing quicker. What are yours like, Alex? So I'm going to show you. So 7-iron, highly used golf club. It has a little bit of wear along the bottom. Don't forget, I have used that a lot. Every time that I do a video, I will do that with a 7-iron. And I will do it off a mat as well. But 6-iron. Apart from the mud, absolutely nowhere at all. We're going to bring a 9-iron out. Absolutely nowhere at all. I'm not even looking at it. I know there's nowhere. Nowhere at all. 4-iron. Absolutely nowhere at all. That is mud from the garden earlier. Taking divots in the garden. But yeah, like I said, I mean, as with all golf clubs, I was actually going through my garage today and I found my old sets. My 7-iron had a real ball part in the middle, and actually go rusty. So as with all golf clubs, no matter if they're black, they're brushed silver, they will all wear. That I think you've got to kind of remember that. But honestly, the back of them still jet black, top of them still jet black. Just a little bit of wear along the bottom, where I've used this golf club a lot, and it's the only one that has worn a 7-iron that I do use a lot. So I can highly recommend the all black finish. I just think it looks stealth. Then the golf bag as well. I'm going to show you the golf bag because, well, I'm a bit of a golf bag perv really, because I love them. It's kind of heavy, guys. Look at that bad boy. This thing is the coolest bag. When this came through the post, and by the way, this year's looks even better. I just need it to arrive after all this has happened. I'm going to put that out there. Because that gold bag is seriously cool. And do you know what? Everybody goes to me, is it not heavy to carry? Well, no, it's not. Not when it looks that cool. So guys, if you are watching the video, comment down below, what driver are you currently gaming? About to look at my specs, what I have in here and what I'm gaming for the 2020 season. This bad boy just arrived before lockdown, so I might hit it a little bit, but don't really trust the net in the garden. If you've seen it, you'll have seen all the videos in the garden of me trying to hit driver, doing it very warily is the word that I'd use. Also, I just want to say, guys, the reason why I've got a woggle in the corner was from today's YouTube video. There's a real reason why. It's a lesson that I do with a lot of people. Every time they come to me, we use that woggle because it's super important. Understanding width, shallowing, how the arms and the body move together. So that video was out this evening at 4 p.m. Some great comments on there so far. So jump over after you've been here, obviously, to check that out. But let's have some more comments. What are you using? Murdered it all out in black shaft included. Looks sick. Dennis, honestly, I totally agree. I got my old irons out, like I said the other day, and they were silver. I was like, what are these? These look totally different. Like, I couldn't get over the fact of like having silver and silver. The whole black finish just is straight up my street. It just looks so good. Honestly, it's something that I really like. Right, here we go. Big dog time, the unveiling. Before we do that, actually, I have this. Last year's driver head. Take the face stick off. So look at this bad boy. So this is last year's. The F9. Weights back. I actually played around with these weights, and as you can see, I put the heavier weight towards the front. Now, the reason why I did that is, it's funny, I spin drive it a lot, but I can't spin 3-wood enough. So putting that weight closer towards the front allowed me to lower that spin and get that ball traveling a little bit better with lower spin, higher launch, because I lofted it up as well. But the one thing that you do lose by moving the weight further towards the face, you lose a bit of forgiveness, because that weight lower and further back makes the driver a little bit more gear effect, a little bit more forgiveness. So that's last year's driver head. I will get it up in a second. I love the new head cover for this year, by the way. Super cool. It's okay. It's only there. And this is this year's. So we'll talk about the spec, and then we'll have a look at the difference between this bad boy and this bad boy. Okay, so I've gone for the Hazardous Smoke 6.5 60-gram shaft. Lamkin grips, Cobra Connect, and then I have again put the heavier weight to the front. Now I used this out in Portugal when I took a coaching camp out to Portugal, and this thing performed. I feel like it's a lot more forgiving than last year's. And maybe because it's newer, but I honestly feel it's a lot more forgiving. The face is bigger, and the off-center hits for me went a little bit further. So let me show you a little bit of a difference about this face. So as you can see, and from this angle here, totally sewn in. Infinity face compares to last year's. Totally different in terms of the head. From face on, you can see the seam here, the milled face went into the driver head, and then a totally milled face throughout. Now, other things are that this has got a lot more carbon on it because of what's inside it, and it's a lot more structure. It's got almost, best way I can describe it, imagine sitting inside a race car, and you've got kind of like steel cages around you. I don't know why I'm looking up. I'm sat in my room. I'm not sat in a car. So that gives it a lot more stability. So having a lot more stability allows them to put a lot more carbon. So I've actually gained, I think, about 5 yards this year, which again doesn't sound astronomical, I know. But for me, who's not really driven it any differently until I got this driver last year, which I gained about 15 yards, I gained next year 5, so 20 yards in 2 years by not practicing that much is a massive, massive gain. And I can't wait to give this one a little bit more of a go. I may do some tests in the garden, depending on if I feel brave enough on the net, and obviously if you guys want to see that content. So I've got this set at 10.5 degrees. I will be playing around with that loft a little bit more and seeing which one works the best. But for me, this driver is seriously good for this year. Can't wait to give it a go, actually out on the golf course and outside of lockdown, because it just looks, I love it from this point of view, like an absolute bad boy. Look at that. I don't know, I'm looking back. I'm just put it to the side. Whew. All right, put that head cover back on. Too smooth. Head cover up. Seriously cool, that, having a look at the difference in that. I really like that. I'm going to keep that as momentum. I'm going to start collecting these every single year. So we're going to get a new driver out next year, which is a big discussion, actually. And before we go, guys, I wanted to kind of talk about, I think it's interesting, will driver manufacturers bring out new golf drivers next year? Because you think about it, we've not really had much of a season this year due to the global pandemic. So then manufacturers, do they bring out new one next year? It's a massive, massive thing. So guys, comment down below, let me know. Do you think manufacturers will hold off a year and then wait and then bring something out? So Joe Bradley just commented, I used a free slider, but I want the new Cobra driver because I want to play golf because I play banana golf with anything else. Is the new Cobra driver worth it? I couldn't recommend it enough. Like I was saying before, Joe, the forgiveness I found with this year's driver compared to last year's driver, astronomical. Like I remember on the range when I was out in Portugal, literally just before lockdown, I got a flight from Lisbon like 2 days before we went on lockdown, and I was hitting it, and I was like, this thing feels good. I was hitting off the toe. My dad was with me at the time, and he was saying like, wow, that's a great shot. And I was like, I towed it. Like I felt like I couldn't miss it. Off the heel, off the toe, and I'm a massive tower with the driver. I'm not shy of towing it with the driver and with the wedges and probably with all the irons. It was unbelievable the distance that I still got on the forgiveness. And I'm not necessarily just the distance, but I was actually still hitting it down the fairway and in play, because at the end of the day, we all just want to be in play. I know we want to hit it a long way, but if we got a driver that went a good distance or a good enough distance for our golf course, that is all we need to do. Keep it in play, keep it a good distance. So I couldn't highly recommend it enough. Another question coming in, John Tuff, any ideas how to stop shanking pitch shots? Keep thinking I've cracked it, but it keeps creeping back in, losing many balls in the garden, hopefully not damaging any windows as well, John. Yes, I can 100% help you out right now. Let me grab my wedge. Okay, so we've got to think about setup to begin with. Let's think about how we're setting up to the golf ball. Let's make sure we've got a narrow stance, golf ball in the middle. And the analogy that I use is, imagine I've got not a lot of forward shaft lean, we've got our hands on the golf ball. The analogy that I use is, can we bring the golf club back and through at the same point? So imagine I took a snapshot here, snapshot. Can I bring it back and take a snapshot and not notice any difference? Because you think about it, if we're shanking off the golf ball, we're coming, imagine this is a golf ball, more in to out. The hosel is traveling towards the target. What I would recommend is get 5 golf balls, do the chipping. It's going to sound crazy, but trust me. Hit one off the toe and be consciously aware of this. So start on the middle, hit one off the toe. Start on the middle and try and hit one out the heel. And then start in the middle and try and hit one out the toe for the last 2 golf balls. And I promise you, you will get a great feeling of the heel traveling more in towards the body, rather than the heel traveling more out away from the body. So it sounds crazy, but have a play around with trying to control the strike and put your attention on the strike. Now, making sure, obviously, you've got your setup correct, and you can look at all the videos doing that. But what I would say is, I'll be talking through from the start. So setup, let's have parallel lines, feel the shoulders, feet and hips, all parallel lines, narrow stance, weight favors the lead side just a little bit. And then we want to feel that the club travels more like a pendulum. Let's try and feel like it's a little bit straighter back, straighter through, to really get a feeling of, right, okay, can I hit it off the toe? You'll do very good to hit it off the toe, coming very much from the inside. And it's a really good way of training strikes. So once you've got the setup nailed, let's just play around with trying to go toe, heel, middle, toe, 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 heel, middle, toe, toe. And then we'll go, right, okay, if you can control this, hitting it anywhere on the face and at the specific point, you can control it in the middle. It sounded like a paradox, and Carl Morris talked about this yesterday on the show. It's a massive thing. So that's what I would say, John. Have a play around the strike, but obviously do it in a very, very safe place. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight on my live golf chat show. Be on here a long time. I've been doing this for 4 weeks. The golf chat show live. No worries, John. Thank you. Hope that helped you. Guys, if you've got any more questions, quickly fire them down below before we go. That is my what's in the bag for 2020. It will change a little bit when we get out of lockdown and all the golf clubs arrive, because obviously there's no point chasing things right now. There's things that are a lot more important than golf clubs to me. So guys, most importantly, stay safe. And I will see you tomorrow on the Golf Chat Show, where we are joined by a European Tour caddy once again. Some fantastic stories coming your way.